Today in the crypto space, we see the market taking a bit of a dip, Bitcoin down approximately 3%, and Ethereum also down approximately 3%, and the rest of the crypto space coming down with the heavyweights down to lower levels. However, guys, is this just a short-term retracement before we get a continuation to the upside? In today's video, I want to talk about the general market. I want to use Bitcoin as a leading indicator, but more importantly, I want to talk about one project that is looking pretty good within a very hot narrative, and that project is called Maple. So you know what, let's talk about the news, let's analyze the charts, and let's strategize to capitalize. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mike, and let's get right into it, guys. If you're new to the channel, welcome. On the channel, we talk about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the altcoins, looking for opportunities. Whether we go up or down, bearish or bullish, it doesn't matter. All we want to do is stay one step ahead of the market so that we can capitalize on any of the volatility. And if you appreciate the strategy, subscribe to the channel, click the bell so you don't miss out on any of my future videos, including the live streams at 7:30 Eastern, where we talk about crypto news and price action. Guys, if you have any projects you want me to cover here on the channel, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. You can hit me up on the socials, the links are in the description. Better yet, guys, join the Discord. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. The best part is it's absolutely free. All right, guys, let's begin. Let's see what's going on here. We see the overall market at the end of the day taking a bit of a dip here. Nothing major. A lot of them are still within structure. For example, look at Bitcoin, still within structure. No lower lows just yet. Ethereum, the same thing, you know, doing its thing. Yes, we do see it dipping down approximately 3%, but nothing major just yet. BNB still going sideways. Solana going sideways. XRP, of course, still going sideways. Dogecoin taking a bit of a dip, but still within structure, and the list goes on, guys. In fact, there are some projects that are still making higher highs and higher lows, even though we're in a pullback. Like Chainlink still looking good. You know, that's a pretty good one. Polkadot may be looking for a bigger dip because, you know, we do have a bit of a structure right now that could suggest a bear flag in the immediate short term. But nonetheless, we're still within structure. Even if it does come down, as long as we don't break below the previous low, we're still good. And that's what we can see throughout the market currently, right? Even Uniswap is looking very healthy, going sideways with a bit of a dip bias, but fine, down 1.5%. But part of the Ethereum narrative, Uniswap should do well. Near protocol, to the bottom of the range it goes. If it breaks below the previous low, not a good look, but at the bottom of the range, that's where the best risk to reward ratios do show up. So be prepared for that. What else do we have? A few grinds to the downside. ICP, FET, and the Litecoin, basically, they're all three of them are grinding to the downside, desperately trying to find horizontals. I say that ICP at the current rate is looking pretty strong here for this bottom price that it formed right here, this floor price. So it could be that it's a great risk to reward ratio. It is down approximately 12% in the last 7 days. You're not buying any tops, you're buying a retracement, or you're buying a dip of 12%. So it's not bad of a scenario. We have Aptos still looking okay. We have a Render going sideways, again planking sideways, showing a bit of strength of support right there. Maybe risk to reward ratio is still looking good. Dog with Hat is still grinding to the upside, bullish. Floki still looking good. It's up 7% today, not bad. A bit of a dip in the last little while, but still up 34% in 7 days, guys. Bullish. Meme coin still got it. Bonk still got it, as you can see. We have Optimism going sideways. So the general market is pretty sideways, as you can see. Like in the last few hours, the last little while, we've been seeing that a lot of the altcoins, including Bitcoin, have been kind of going sideways. We do have some random good gainers like Tia, Celestia. My entry was absolutely perfect. My entry is about 3 weeks old, but that's great because I happened to buy the absolute bottom and start DCing and building that position. And that's the way we do it here on the channel, guys. We take risk at the right time. We don't take risk randomly. Like Rondo right now, if it doesn't, you know, continue moving to the upside, it's looking pretty risky that it could dip in the short term. That's why you can put a stop loss underneath this consolidation and see if it runs. If it doesn't, at least you can protect yourself, because, you know, the hang time could start kicking in here. We know that on those really bullish, but a short-term retracement in the immediate short term is acceptable, right? It's something that we should be prepared for. We have Pit going sideways, a lot of sideways price action in the next little while. Quant still dripping to the downside at $90. I can't imagine Quant back to about 91, guys. It's not a great performer at all. Fundamentals fundamentals could be amazing, but who cares? At the end of the day, if you're not making any gains, what the heck are you doing it with quant? At the end of the day, we got to move on and find where the volatility is at. Jasmine's doing good, maybe a bull flag in the works, so pay attention to that. Once we get a structure, if you're waiting on the sidelines, you could play the structure. Again, buying into structure gives you an opportunity to make a plan. Where are you going to invalidate your bullish thesis? Where are you going to be taking profits and all that good stuff? So Jasmine, at the current moment, watch this opportunity if you're looking into buying in, especially on this green. Guys, just be careful. We need structure for sure. Akash, back to the bottom of the range. It is down 10% in 7 days. So we can see some double-digit dips on the bigger time frames, like on the 7-day time frame, which means that those could be definitely taken full advantage of. You could buy those dips with a bit of confidence that you're not buying tops, right? With a 10% double-digit dip, that's not bad. Pretty sideways across the board right here, and pretty much Pendle taking a bit of a dip. Guys, I want Pendle, but at a much cheaper price before I get in. Ronin 2, I wouldn't mind a bit more on Altcoin. You get my point. Guys, I wait for those deep retracements. I wait for those opportunities, and that's when I start scaling in. All right, guys, so generally speaking, the market is a bit sideways with a slight bias to the downside today, a bit bearish, nothing crazy. Let's prepare. Let's see if we can come up with better opportunities. Join me live tonight at 7:30 Eastern, where we hunt for the best setups in the market. All right, guys, let's begin. I know you're here to talk about charts. Let's begin our analysis talking about Bitcoin as a leading indicator, and then we'll take a look at Maple, a really strong project in the real world asset narrative that could be one of the major gainers within the narrative. Bitcoin at the current moment, though, is taking a bit of a dip. We see that it did come down a little bit, nice and red, just a little bit, but did get support at that horizontal that I'm keeping my eye on. Let's look at this in a bit more detail. Guys, I usually only use red and green arrows in my charts just to keep myself, in check with my TA. However, this is the first time I use a yellow arrow, and I feel like, just keeping an eye on this area is viable. Why? Because we're getting a lot of, let's say, reaction there. We got, the candles came down, closed right above them, closed above this level based on the previous high. I kind of like it. Point of control within this entire structure. I kind of like it. This current dip got a nice bounce off of it, and we do have some confluence with the 20 daily EMA. Nice bounce. I kind of like it. So as I find things that I like, I basically start to build a stronger thesis. I start to build a bit of confidence in the confluence of the chart. So what I'm looking at is a nice rounded bottom with a flag. If we do get a nice bull flag, it starts to look like a handle, cup and handle, bull flag out of a nice expansion to the upside, or a nice move to the upside, and then maybe we get enough bullish bids to break out of the resistance, which is at about 72, more or less, right around this range. You can see that we've actually used it as resistance already. So do we have enough strength to actually break above and start chipping away at the resistance and maybe getting into price discovery once again? It's most likely. It does look very bullish at the current moment, but just understand you are currently acting as a breakout trader. So you have to make sure that you have a strong setup that basically considers risk to reward. Stop loss right underneath 66,330 with a bit of a position that you can get in this level and expect a continuation. Fine. But if it breaks below that zone, it's likely that we come down and touch range lows once again. Let's get rid of this because this is no longer necessary. And we still want to keep this in mind because we can see that a lot of people did like this setup, and eventually it did run up pretty hard. And the rejection right now is a really short term, really weak rejection with low volume. So I want to see what happens here for Bitcoin in the next little while. We see that the volatility, this is what interests me the most. The volatility, the orange line is definitely coming down. The momentum trend is still pushing up. We're still okay. The expansion is still in. Once I see the orange line fully reset in oversold conditions, volatility will be oversold and reset, and I'm going to expect that the volatility is now going to do a U-turn down here and start running to overbought conditions, keeping it in the same trend as the momentum. So if we trade the volatility and the momentum in the same direction, we have chances of making some really good moves because we want the volatility, however, in the same direction as the momentum. And we're getting a confirmation with this expansion, and I feel like a breakout from Bitcoin to the upside will give us a lot more strength and maybe produce some of these green dots that I really appreciate, giving me that confidence and confluence within the oscillator. Okay, so not bad. Now, if we start looking at the trend itself, let me see if I can get this a little bit bigger. If you look at the trend oscillator, we do see that the trend in Bitcoin is slightly rolling over. So not a good look. Maybe we get an EMA cross. Maybe we get some red histogram bars. So it does look like maybe the trend in the short term might be taking a bit of a dip, and we have to be aware of that. That is very possible that we fall a little bit lower. Guys, I'm really taking a look at or keeping this on my radar, because really, even if we do come down and get oversold on momentum, the trend doesn't necessarily have to pivot, right? We could go sideways and neutralize the negativity in the trend and eventually go for another leg as the momentum gets its full reset. Okay, so that's my take on Bitcoin. Join me live tonight at 7:30 Eastern. We'll get into a little bit more detail where we talk about Ethereum and the Bitcoin dominance, and obviously other requests that you may have. All right, guys, let's take a look at Maple. Let's see what's going on with Maple. Let's expand this chart here a little bit. We'll get into a little bit more detail here on Maple, because ultimately, you know, a lot of us are looking into the altcoin market lately, right? Because Bitcoin did a very good job getting to those very high levels. We know that Bitcoin has been a great performer, and all of a sudden we know that Ethereum is doing pretty good. Obviously, all the catalysts, all the good news out of the Ethereum camp, obviously. Now, what do we expect? We expect rotation from Bitcoin to Ethereum, Ethereum to large caps, mid caps, low caps, micro caps, and so on, right? So that's what we expect, that rotation, that typical rotation when we start getting into that bull run. Now, as we know, Bitcoin and Ethereum are really high up there. I don't think they've reached their top, but the risk is starting to build. It's starting to get a bit risky there. I'd rather start looking for bottom-dwelling altcoins that have not even really got their main expansion yet. And I think Maple could be one of them. Just keep in mind that it's part of a very bullish narrative. The real-world asset narrative is one that a lot of people are following and are really bullish on for this up-and-coming bull run. Now, we can see that we did already get a bit of an expansion to the upside, decent retracement, another impulsive move with, I'm assuming there's bearish divergence right into that. We'll kind of confirm that in a second. And you can see if we look at the momentum and the actual this top, it is downward sloping. So yes, there is class A bearish divergence into this pop to the upside. Not a good look, of course, because we know that bearish momentum eventually kicks in, and then we get the follow through for the pivot. But sometimes the follow through is not that strong, and all we do is get a reset where we get some support off of the horizontals, which we kind of did. If you think about it, we got some good support, not only once, twice, 3 times, 4 times at the same horizontal. And in fact, each time we got it, we got a nice little pop to the upside. We got a nice little volume building right into this area, and we got to address the fact that there's a weak spot below. The weak spot below has to be there, right? Because that's our major invalidation in this setup at the current moment. If we fall below, I would say $11 more or less. If we fall below $11, guys, it's very likely that we start coming down. Now, we could get down as low as 750, because 750, as you can see, is the bottom of the volume gap, but we do have a peak of little volume right into here that could act as a support zone. Now, if we exclude some of the price action looking left and all we look at is this consolidation, you'll see that it's a lot clearer. This little volume right into here is all of this. If we exclude that, and you can see obviously it's only going to show us this volume, and we have emptiness right here because we went straight up, retracement, got support, 200 daily support, another bounce, higher high, came back down, broke through the 200 daily, but used the horizontal support again. I like a double bottom, slightly higher low, which is pretty good here. So ultimately, the volume in here keeps me very confident that the market is still interested and the participation is still there, and the invalidation is really clear. Again, $11 invalidated. We're coming down to about 750, and then we start asking ourselves, what kind of dip is this if it's going to actually happen? Now, the reason why I'm speaking bearish right now is because we need to understand our defensive strategy. It's a 32% dip. If it falls through there, we don't want to take a 32% hit on our portfolio or on our position. Now, if you get into a small position size, yes, it's fine. You can handle it. For example, if you get in with $100, you'll lose 32%. That's $32. For a lot of us, that's fine. You'll take it on the chin and move on. However, if you get into a bigger position size, 32% can increase your loss significantly, and it's possibly something that you don't want to happen, because it may represent too much of a portion of your portfolio. You should only be losing maximum 2% of your portfolio on a trade, maximum, and even that is, you know, giving you a bit of wiggle room. Now, what could we expect? Again, momentum looking pretty good. EMAs are facing up. We got 3 drives of bullish divergence. We got expansions to the upside. It looks like the EMAs are trying to get into the bullish control zone. So right now, the trend oscillator is looking really good. The momentum oscillator, although we're getting a divergence, it could arguably be done. It could arguably be that we already got our follow through, which is this right here. And we do not have enough bearish strength to actually break down to lower levels. Now we can see that the momentum is pretty much getting some support at all, obviously very similar support levels of the past. Now I would love to see this thing continue to the upside. However, you guys know the orange line, I want that volatility to get oversold and then consider going into a long position, trading the volatility and the momentum at the same in the same trajectory, which is up, right? So we got to keep that in mind. We also have this bottom and this top, this bottom and this right here that to watch out for, because this drop in the orange line could definitely get support on this diagonal. Let me show you what I mean. We could come down, get some support, and continue coming up here and staying overbought. Means that it's going to leave the momentum to get overbought as well, and that's where you get the major expansion to the upside. Now, speaking of expansions, I would love to see a green expansion into here, one of these green waves to the upside. As of now, I don't think we're going to get it until we see the volatility get a full reset or make a complete U-turn to the upside, because in the meantime we're seeing negative pressure. We're seeing the price kind of fall based on the volatility pushing down. So I want that to be over with. Now if we go back to the price action, so right now the momentum is showing us a bit of negativity based on the volatility, but generally speaking momentum is showing us strength. We're moving upwards, okay, and the trend is actually looking pretty good. Over time I'm expecting that to become a pivot. Now horizontal support is there, as we can see. Now what is happening right into here? You can see that we do have a bit of a retracement. Now the bulls are going to say that perhaps this is a retracement for continuation, and it's very possible that happens. Impulsive move, retracement, continuation. Now if we zoom out a little bit and we start looking at what the bears could be looking at, in fact the bearish thesis is still there as well. Okay, we got a nice impulsive move down, consolidating right into here. What does that look like to you? That looks like a bear flag. And what's going to happen is the bears are going to be playing it as a bear flag. Every time we get to the tops, they're going to be shorting because the risk to reward is good. And then you're going to expect sell pressure. We're going to see that if there could be pressure to the downside. At every time we do come down to these levels, you're going to see that the bulls might be buying the dip with that same logic, with risk to reward, and you'll see that the bears might be taking a bit of profit to protect themselves just in case. So we'll see that battle happening here, and eventually we should get an expansion. And I know the bears are talking about an expansion to the downside that typically could take us down to range lows once again. If you notice, pretty much a measured move out of this, let's say another leg to the downside, could take us down to the bottom of the volume gap, which is at about, again, $7.80 more or less. Previous highs, previous lows, and a massive amount of accumulation that could act like a wall of support just in case the price does come down to that level. So what I like is that the setup currently here on Maple is so clear. You know where you got to protect yourself. You know where you got to put those stop losses. You know where you should be accumulating. And at the end of the day, if it does break down, this level is another area of accumulation. Now, some individuals might consider, you know what, I'm going to DCA. I'm going to DCA because right now we're getting support on the 200 daily. You can see that. It looks pretty good, in fact. Impulsive move, retracement, and then a bounce off the 200 daily. Maybe we do get the continuation because we did make a higher high right here. So maybe it is. And this is why DCAing is good, because these maybes do have a level of uncertainty, to the point that we don't know where the absolute bottom is. We know where a general area could be, and I think that this general area could be the bottom. So if we come back down to here, 1160, I would be buying the dip pretty hard, and down here I would be doubling down, tripling down on my position to average in my price so that I bring my average cost down. If you're getting over leveraged at this point or overexposed, put a stop loss into here and reaccumulate at these bottom levels in anticipation that eventually we do get the bounce and reclaim previous highs and get into price discovery. Once again, guys, Maple is part of a very bullish narrative, and eventually we could expect a break out of this accumulation range, which is, you know, looking like a big one, to break through this volume gap where we hit a target of about $50, and then we can decide whether we take a bit of profit, trail up stop losses, and so on, because we need to defend our gains. Once we have basically got a nice impulsive move, we need to defend those gains. All right, guys, if I've offered you any value in the video, do the channel a massive favor, slap the like button. It does really help out with the algorithm. If you want to follow me on the socials, the links are in the description below. Feel free to join the Discord, guys. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setup fundamentals, and learning material. See you tonight, 7:30 Eastern, where we talk about crypto news and price action. Take care, guys. Have a good one, and don't forget, buy the dip.